What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. I thought I would make this video because I just finished Nightreign and I have a lot to say. When I first saw the trailer, I was crazy hyped because genuinely thought that this was Elden Ring 2. It wasn't, but the hype came back when I saw Name was King, so they won me back. But anyways, yeah. I actually really liked Elden Ring Nightreign, I really do. But after a dozen runs, I'm getting a serious case of deja vu. So, yeah, this is going to be a full deep dive on Elden Ring Nightreign. The good, the great, the peak, and the parts that just make you ask, why the f is the Pursuer not a random raid boss like Morgoth? Why is Morgoth a raid boss? I don't know. But From Software promised a standalone adventure, reimagining the game's core design. And to their credit, it's definitely different than Elden Ring. We've got some glow-ups and some hiccups. But after 20 plus hours, I've definitely got some thoughts, some positive and some pretty negative, to say the least. But before I break it all down, make sure to hit that like button and press subscribe to know when I stream, go live, and post other videos. Alright, so the concept and first impressions for me is that Elden Ring drops 3 Nightfarers, or just 1 if you're like me, into Limveld. Basically Limgrave if it had some sort of weird dissociative identity disorder. For a 3-day, technically 2 actually, boss rush. You gather loot and run around for a while, you get runes and everything. The night creeps in at certain intervals, and you just get cattled into a circle where you fight a boss for the night, and then you do that again for the second night, and then you fight the Night Lord, or the Night Lord. Yeah, you fight the Night Lord. And the night bosses can literally be anything from Elden Ring or even some previous bosses from Dark Souls. It's essentially a faster paced, randomized Elden Ring boss marathon. I've personally never had the game crash, but I've heard that there are some issues with that. But I've had some pretty big lag spikes here and there, and I have a pretty decent PC, so it's kind of odd. The same thing happened in Shadow Theory Tree. There are 2 types of field bosses. The normal ones and the ones with the red outlines. They're called greater enemies. They're called, I don't know I forgot what they're called. But yeah, don't waste your time on the red outline ones because they will take ages unless you're level 7 or 8 or above. Main castle boss, if it's the damn bell-bearing hunter with the red eyes or the royal revenant, don't even try. Just leave. Just go fight other things. The hunter is stand up like Darth Vader. It does so much damage to you, it might as well be using a lightsaber to cut you in half. Anyways, on paper, the concept of Elden Ring Nightreign sounds actually really good. Running around with friends, slicing those stupid horn dudes in Landell over and over and over again, and blasting enemies apart. It's actually pretty fun. It's really fun. The random raids are cool with the Night Lords and Morgoth, like bro thinks he's part of the team, showing up to annoy you, but here's the issue. It just feels familiar, I guess. Elden Ring's aesthetic is still fantastic. That's not even a question. Elden Ring is literally peak cinema of a game. But it's hard to not notice how much it borrows from the original game and even older Souls title. Well, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. In fact, Nightreign has a surprising amount of unique assets for its own when it comes to its design. But a lot of people have been parroting this claim as to this is why Nightreig's bad, but I don't really think that it's complete bullshit. I think this practice should actually be promoted in the gaming industry, as why should you spend another 5 hours remaking a staircase when you've already spent so much time making it for a previous game? It saves time and money, but the real problem hits around the later iterations of your runs, because by then everything starts to blur together. Limveld is the only map. It's the only map, and no matter how many times they try to remix it by adding some things here and there or changing the way the structures are, it's still Limgrave's twisted and schizophrenic cousin. It's one biome stretched for an entire AAA experience. And sure, randomized bosses and loot drops somewhat mix things up, and from where you spawn does change how you walk around the map, but you'll quickly feel like you're playing a roguelike where every level looks exactly like the tutorial. Other games in the genre, Risk of Rain 2 for example, give you entirely new environments with different hazards and enemies as you progress. Imagine playing Risk of Rain 2, but it's always distant route over and over and over again, except it's way larger. Nightreign doesn't change. Somewhat. I'll talk about shifting Earths in a bit, just give me a second. Even though the individual areas are well designed, I think Limvale does a good job of being a concise area with lots of things to do. That doesn't change the fact that it's still the same area with a lot of the same things here and there. Even the beetles are usually always in the same location. It starts to feel routine fast. Even when using quick mobility tools like Wilder's grappling hook, it just feels the same. You don't get the trademark Elden Ring exploration and questing and looting and all those things. You don't really feel that here. Maybe you do on your first playthrough, but after that, you don't really feel it. Instead, you just keep sprinting towards the next boss fight over again and over again. You find some loot, you kill some bosses, you get killed by the bell-bearing hunter again, and then the Night's Tide catches up. Everything is efficient, but it's also a little too safe and repetitive. Now, progression-wise, there's some meta progression in Elden Ring. It's not like a rogue, it's a roguelike, not a rogue. It's roguelite. Light. Not roguelike. I like to call it roguelite because there is some iterational progression where you can get some relics and some special buffs, and that's it. Most of the relics are pretty boring, I'll be real. Like, they're not like bad. Like, you can't really call them bad because they still give you a buff nonetheless, but they're not particularly good. A lot of them have significantly better versions of them. A lot of them are just straight up useless. Like, you might as well just not have them. They don't really change the way you approach the game. Maybe you start the game off with a frozen weapon or a poison weapon, but at the end of the day, that's just the first starting weapon. You're not gonna if you're playing the game normally, you're not gonna be having a different starting. You're not gonna be using a starting weapon. You're not. Now, there are some that are actually really good. For example, Wilder's Slate Whetstone, it's a quest item you get from the Remembrance. It grants Wilder a follow-up attack after using his utility, where he gets like this sword flaming attack, and that's super cool. And there's actually a lot of these, but they're also like, there's not too many of them. Now, it would actually be so much better if there were a lot of these. I think if they added just more alternative or buffs to abilities like they did with Wilder, I think it would be a lot more interesting. It would allow for a lot better builds, or a lot more unique builds, where players can feel like have their own movesets basically. But at the end of it, most are just get +2 dex and you do frost damage. it's not really game changing stuff. Now, let's go back to comparing it to Risk of Rain 2. It's not a fair comparison, but there's similar games in a similar genre. At least that's what Elden Ring Nightreign is. It's a roguelike Elden Ring game. That's what it marketed itself as. And I think it's sort of fair to compare it to Risk of Rain 2, which is a defining game in the roguelike genre. It's a big game in that genre. In Risk of Rain 2, runs become chaotic. They become ridiculous power fantasies with massive stacking synergies. You can stack multiple items and they all synergize with each other pretty well. There's these builds that you can go for that basically make or break your run, and a lot of enemies react to that, and that feels very interactable. Nightreign doesn't get there. You just unlock, you don't even unlock like alternative versions of abilities. In Risk of Rain 2, each character has multiple versions of abilities that you can swap between and synergize with other versions of abilities with other characters. You don't get modifiers or curses to spice up your run. It's very fine chess to hope for better stats. Repeat. Like, imagine you had these relics that it would change the way, like in Risk of Rain 2, there's something that makes enemies drop loot, but you can never open chests. Imagine if we had something like that in Elden Ring, where only bosses or only enemies could drop weapons. Well, I guess it's sort of like that. I don't know. It's so weird to me. I just don't understand. Like, what were they ultimately going for? I don't know. But even the permanent upgrades you get feel weak. It's not like beating a run makes your one different. or more powerful. It's a minor buff here and there. It can sort of make you feel better if you have the right build, but at the end of the day, everyone's gonna go for that same build. It's like there's so much meta here, and it's a huge missed opportunity. Imagine having sliders for extra difficulty or rewards, or even wild builds that let you just destroy bosses in one. I don't know. I've not seen the one-hit builds for Nightreign. I don't think they're possible. Maybe it is, but I just don't see how it would be possible. Maybe you just stack a bunch of the 6% physical damage ups and you just like get like 600% more damage, but I don't think that's possible. To think, like, if Nightreign had even a fraction of customization that Elden Ring has, it would be all the better for it. It's just so rinse and repeat. It's very safe. That's what I think it is. It's very safe, and I think that's its biggest crime. It's too safe. Now, I think, is it Metacritic? Yeah, it was Metacritic. They gave it a 78. I completely disagree. I think it's at least an 80. It is definitely not a 78. It's definitely an 8 out of 10 game. It's not bad, but it's a little too safe, and I understand that it's a side project for From Software, but it needs, if it wants to feel like a From Software game, it needs to do something crazy. Elden Ring was so experimental. It was their first big open world game. It was genre defining. It is genre defining. Like on the same page as Breath of the Wild or Red Dead Redemption 2. It's huge in that field. And like Dark Souls literally, or Demon Souls, I guess, inspired the Souls-like genre. It's called Souls-like for a reason. It's genre defining. It made its own genre. But Nightreign just doesn't feel like that, especially compared to other roguelikes. It just feels like a safe roguelike game, which is fair. They never made a roguelike game, but they've also never made an open world game. So, But yeah, when you first play Nightreign, it feels brutal. It really does. You will die a lot, and the Night's Tide timer will keep you moving, for sure. But once you figure it out, learn your character's moves, optimize relic choices, memorize boss spawns or locations or where you need to go, what each location is, what each solution to the puzzle for the rises are, it gets super easy really fast. The Night Lords, for example, it's like Edel, Baron of Night, is cinematic. It's terrifying. It's huge. It's a giant dragon that has a split jaw. Like, let's be real, that's pretty sick. Okay, the arena and the atmosphere of the Night Lords the arena and the atmosphere of the Night Lords are beautiful. They're stunning. The cinematics of each Night Lord, it's like you're playing a cutscene. That's how beautiful the fights are. Like when I was fighting Holster, the final boss, it was so good. It was so cinematic. I just beat him up too fast. But once you figure out how to cheese or burst them down, it's all downhill from there. Like these bosses just become easier than some Elden Ring bosses or even Dark Souls bosses. They are so simple. They're flashy but simple. In fact, I like to tell my friends this, that if you manage to get to level 15, you're basically won. You will not lose. There's no way you'll lose at level 15. Even with blue uncommon weapon, also I feel like I get the same weapons over and over again. Like I've got the Antspur Rapier and Milo's Sword. They're both super OP. Rot and Bleed are just so strong in Nightreign. They're crazy. I've never really used Frost. It's hard to get Frost weapons in Nightreign, but Bleed and Rot are just incredible. If you get the Rot Force on a run, you've won. There's no way you lose. And Night Lords all have a weakness that is super easy to exploit, but they don't affect the boss in the same way. I don't know how to explain this. I don't get what fire does to Sentient Pest. For Tricephalus, Holy stuns them and gives them a weakness to damage. Like they'll take more damage. For Augur, I think it breaks stance faster. I'm not sure, but the weaknesses affect the Night Lords differently. And I don't really notice a difference. Like when I was attacking Sentient Pest with fire, I didn't really notice anything. Maybe I was attacking the big scorpion dude and he's like resistant to fire and it was a moth I had to attack, but I'm not attacking the moth. No way, in solos, hell no. And yeah, that's the problem with front-loaded difficulty. It's early frustration, but then it's just brain dead easy. There's no new game plus modifiers, there's no scaling challenges, it's just the same loop, gradually getting simpler as you sharpen your skills. It's fun, but for hardcore players, for players who seek the constant suffering and chaos, like Shield only, or I don't even know. So I guess Solo Run is Solo is so easy. I don't know. People are complaining about Solo, but Solo is super easy. But it's just too tame once you crack the code. Is what I'm trying to say. If you don't get what you want on a solo run, you can just refresh the map until you do, and then you win. By the way, refreshing, like closing out of the game on a solo map, on a solo run, does not make you lose your win streak. So if you're ever struggling on something and you don't want to lose that win streak for the 3 win streak achievement, you can just quit the game. There is no penalty. I did that multiple times and I didn't lose the achievement. So I got the achievement upon killing the 3rd boss. So yeah. And yeah, obviously I'll talk about the duo mode thing because I think that's the weirdest choice about it. Like, you have 3-player squads. So if you got 2 friends, great, that's awesome. But if you want to play with just 1 friend, no, you have to get dragged on with some rando who usually is pretty bad at the game. You might get lucky, they might disconnect. They might do that. Honestly, like, I was playing duos with a friend because some dude just disconnected, and it was actually really fun. It was really fun. In fact, we won that round. But thankfully, FromSoft is listening. Duo expeditions are launching soon, and the community is celebrating that. But it's just weird that it wasn't there at launch. It seems particularly easy to do. In fact, there is 2-player matchmaking for passwords. I think. Actually, I don't actually remember. But this should have been an option on day 1, and it shouldn't have been something that mods had to do initially. But yeah, and I will say this, because like I don't know, I'm on this section, so I guess I'll talk about solos. People complain that solos is tough. I don't think so. I think trios is so much harder. It's solo. I completely annihilated every boss in solos. I first tried most of the bosses in solos. It's maybe I've been playing trios wrong, but it's just hard to communicate with randos when all I can do is pin things. There needs to be some sort of voice chat. There needs to be some sort of text chat, I guess, even. That would be hard to do. There needs to be some sort of like pre-made messages to do. There needs to be something more. Maybe emotes can have some sort of message to them, and I guess make all emotes free, or make them cheaper so you can get these messages. But yeah, solo, I literally annihilated the final boss. I didn't even get to hear the epic theme, but whatever. And okay, this one's a lot more personal to me. Crossplay. There's no crossplay. Seriously, FromSoft, it's 2025. Co-op is the focus of this game, and they still don't have cross-platform multiplayer. PC players can only team up with other PC players. Xbox players can only team with other Xbox players. Actually, I don't know. Consoles crossplay with each other? I don't know. But even Elden Ring didn't have crossplay. So you would think that this would be the first game to break that trend. No, it didn't. It did not. I understand that PC players have the tendency to have the superiority complex and hack everywhere. I get it. I hate PC players too. But seriously, there needs to be some moderation for that. And I know FromSoftware is relatively a smaller team, but they have the entirety of Bandai Namco to fall back on to just moderate servers. Like, I understand that it's a lot more investment for, like, it's a lot I'm asking. This is actually a lot that I'm asking for. Moderation is actually a pretty big ask if you really think about it, because there has to be people, like admins, moderating it. That's a full-time job right there. And that's a lot of money. And paying for the servers to crossplay and everything. That's a lot of money. But I really wanted to play Nightreign with Bagel, and I could not because there was just no crossplay. We literally found out the day the game came out. Now, if you want to play the game with a friend on console, you're gonna need to buy the game on console, and you're going to have to pay for the subscription. Now, yeah, for a co-op roguelike in this era, that's just lame. It's just lame. That's all it really is. Fans expected better, and rightly so. I expected so much better. Like, I will glaze FromSoftware endlessly, but this is what made me feel really bad. Now, alright, let's talk more about the game, I guess, itself. Right. Nightreign desperately needs more modifying. Like, you need the ability to customize runs more and add more greater risk and reward. Because sure, the Night's Tide does force you to move here and there, get to places. Like, you can, like, at the end of night 2, you can excurge back out and, like, get stuff despite the night being there. You'll take damage over time, but you can still explore around still and still level up. But that's pretty much it. Like, games like Hades give you mod. I've never played Hades. I just watched some YouTube videos on it just to compare it to. But games like Hades give you modifiers. Risk of Rain lets you loop infinitely. But Nightreign, you're stuck in 3 days. one boss at the end. No, nothing. There's nothing else. You can't experiment with the run. You can't make it more difficult. You can't, unless you want to do some crazy challenge run. But there's no reward for that. There's no incentive to do that. That's only for content. And I know all the content goblins, all the content from software goblins are out there doing these crazy runs with the dumbest ideas ever. I would like to see someone do a utility only run, by the way. Can someone please use Wilder's grapple for a damage only? Let's do that. That'd be cool. I'm not doing that because I have stuff I gotta do. But I'd love to see you guys do that. Yes. It's just, I don't know. There's so much things that could have been done here that could have made this game go from an 8 to a 9 to even a 10. This game was so close to doing that, and it doesn't pass that barrier. It doesn't. Hopefully future DLC brings some variety and risks back into the mix. On a side tangent, I suppose, people complain that the soul runs are too hard. I don't see that. I think I already said that before. I don't know, I'm just saying stuff now. But yeah, one time I was playing with a friend, someone disconnected, duo scaling is there. I'll tell you that, duo scaling is there. It's not solo scaling with 2 people, it's duos. There is a different scaling there for sure. But yeah. I think the game is easier with less people in it. I really do. The game feels so much easier with less people, but besides the point. Finally, the big one, the big point this is the crux of the issue for me. This is what really makes this game an 8 out of 10 and not an 9 out of 10. We need more maps. We do. I'm sorry, but Limgrave can only take, it's like the only McDonald's play place in town. You can't go anywhere else. You're just stuck going through the same tubes over and over again. You're with little car at the very top. You're rolling the wheel. That's all you can do. It's like Elden Ring is all about exploring cool places, beautiful places. Some of the most beautiful fantasy locations I've ever seen. The castles look so cool. The underground areas are beautiful. The false sky. It's just a work of art. It's a work of art. But where's Caleb? Come on. Dude, imagine a location called Kaden, and it's like an area full of, it's like the forest, but it's like the entire map, and it feels like a maze, and you don't, every trees everywhere. It'd feel gross, it feels icky, it's what Miyazaki would want. The swamp biome area. Like, if you can, like, I know it's bigger than Limgrave, but like, imagine a Weeping Peninsula air map, like some different structure. I just don't like the stupid Poland-looking map that like Fortnite has. But yeah, like we need some more maps, man. And the DLC should have more maps, like more maps for unique. Maybe you can have Night Lords you can fight on like different maps, or you can have unique Night Lords attached to different maps. I don't know. Just do something different. But we're stuck replaying Limgrave over and over and over again. And it makes me so pissed. Even like different hazards would help, like different, I guess we have shifting earths. I'll talk about that in a second. I'll talk about that in a second. But the only difference between each Night Lord the map actually has, like on its own, is different fogs. And I guess Adele has the purple one, and Night Aspect has, or Hollister has the yellow, I guess. That's all I really know. And yeah, like people want the same Elden Ring level discovery. We want that so bad. Not the same 4 caves over and over and over. Wait a second. Wait, nothing's changed. Holy shit. I'm just kidding. Okay, but we do have shifting earths. But do they change the game in a significant way? Sort of. They change how you go around them. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it changes how you route yourself. They're like a giant pimple that you just can't ignore. And like you're looking in a mirror and you just see the pimple there and you're just like, oh shit. That's what these are. They're just giant pimples that waste your time. I'm just kidding. They're pretty cool. They're actually pretty cool. We got 4 of them. Crater, Mountaintop, Rot Forest, and Nakaladio. The Forbidden City, is that what it's called? I don't know. But Crater. It appears on the north center part of the map. It's a giant hole with lava pits. Various red bosses spawn there, or the red outline bosses. You get to upgrade your weapon up by a tier. So this means you can turn a white weapon to a blue weapon, purple weapon to a gold weapon, etc. It's actually pretty useful if you figured the routing out. Now, I don't know if you can upgrade a weapon beyond gold. So you can take any purple weapon you want, upgrade to gold, which means you can get any weapon to gold theoretically by getting it to blue. Like you can literally make your starting weapon gold. But yeah, I don't know why you want to do that. I think it's actually pretty useful. It's pretty useful. Now, Mountaintops is a different story. I think Mountaintops is fairly useless. It's only really good for one boss, and that's Scalago, the Ice Dragon boss. there are dragons there. It's just useless. It's confusing and it's useless. This is actually the only one I haven't finished yet. Rot Forest is pretty cool. I think it's my favorite one. It appears in the southeast part of the map. It has like those enemies that were there in version 1.0 of Elden Ring in the Grand Cloister, and yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. It also has bosses spread around it like the crater does, and it's like it's the easiest one by far because you don't need to fight a single boss. You don't even need to fight the fort boss. You can just get the map and get the buff, and then from there you can kill all the bosses because you're immune to rot. Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. It also gives you Melania's Great Rune buff. That's like whatever. That's like super useless to me. But because Wilder has the Great Sword, so you just want to get the health back. It's whatever. Now, Nocledio is also really sick. It looks like I saw this video about it. It was about how it's the part of Landel that's sunken in the water. Like, you know how Landel has like the little water area? That's actually Nocledio. That's pretty cool. I think that's really sick. And it is actually a very cool city to walk around. It's just a shame that it's so maze-like and so difficult to traverse if you don't know the way to go, because you'll waste so much time there. But luckily, it makes up because Estelle dropped. I think Estelle might drop the most runes of anything in the game, because I went from level 10 to 14 from him. It was insane. I don't know, but maybe I'll make like a tier list on these things. But I think they do change the way you traverse the map, because you'll spend most of your day too in these areas, except Mountaintop, unless you're fighting Caligo, and that Mountaintop might be the worst one. But yeah, so yeah, map variety is my biggest criticism of the game. It hinders a lot of the experience for me. It would be cool if the DLC adds in other maps for Night Lords, or like Limveld, a Caleb map, a Liurnia map, an Underground or Snowfield, or like any DLC map would be cool. The game marketed itself on variety and for the roguelike aspects of it, but that's where the game falters the most in my opinion. So here's the bottom line. Nightreign is fun. It's good. It's a really good game. If you loved Elden Ring, you will like Nightreign. You will. Especially for those who want co-op fun. It's the most multiplayer-oriented From Software game, and it's actually a really good job at that. It feels seamless. It's better than seamless co-op mod for Elden Ring. There's no lag. There's no weird bugs. It feels really good, actually. I haven't seen any bugs, and I haven't played a lot of multiplayer, so I don't take my opinion as gospel. I've played a little bit, so I know a little bit what I'm talking about, but I haven't played a lot to see any discrepancies. But there's a lot of missed ideas here, and the upgrades don't feel interesting. Easy fights once you learn the system, no crossplay, no duo at launch. It's just one area. It's a culmination of a lot of things that really keep this game from going beyond an 8 out of 10 for me. And I know I'm being harsh at it, and it sounds like it should be a 6 or an 8 or 7 out of 10, but the overall experience is still really, really good. I love the new stuff that's added. I love a lot of the stuff here. It's just there could be more, especially for a $40 game. A game that's more it's like it could have been DLC for Elden Ring, to be honest. Like, that's what I think this game could have been. And the fact that it's its own game means I have to criticize it as its own game. I can't let it just be like it's Elden Ring. I have to look at it as its own game. It's Elden Ring as a base model with different stuff here. And that's still a good game at its core, but there needs to be more for it to be different from Elden Ring. It has different stuff, obviously. You can't play this game the same way you play Elden Ring. But it's just it's frustrating. It's frustrating. It's like Dark Souls 2 in a lot of ways. There's so much missed potential here, and it frustrates me so much. So let me give some ideas. Oh, yeah, let me give some ideas. Alright, more returning bosses, please. We need some more bosses from previous Souls games, and we need to make them strong. Like they kicked their ass. Like, I know people are probably terrible at Dark Souls. Dark Souls is really pretty easy. The games Dark Souls are pretty, I don't get it. I don't know why people say the games are hard. They're not that hard. But like I was talking to Bagel about saying that the Pursuer could spawn in and be a raid boss just like Morgoth, and it didn't. Because that's what originally it was intended to do in Dark Souls 2. It was intended to just randomly spawn in and beat the shit out of you. So can we bring those concepts back, please? Like, there's so many cool concepts. Like, we could have Burnt Ivory King, where you have to fight the little soldiers first, and then you fight the Burnt Ivory King. Like, those are so many good ideas. So many good ideas. And we need more buffs. Like, more stuff that adds chaotic shit. Like the periodic glint blades, sudden enemy deaths, deluge of stars, Ice Storm Surge, etc. I don't want to see my enemies, I want to see them all die. I want to see my runes go up, and I don't want to see what I'm killing. Just like those passives that just do cool shit. Also, I think some of the buffs are mislabeled, because it says for the Deluge of Stars, it occurs when you're walking, but it only occurs when you drink a flask. I don't know, maybe they'll fix that, maybe it's a translation issue, I don't know, but I don't know. We need boss rush mode, like some form of that, some endless mode. I think that'd be really cool. Maybe nerf levels a little bit, I don't know, maybe get rid of levels completely and you can only level up like normal in Elden Ring. That'd be pretty cool. A harder variant of bosses, I think they're adding that, but all the OSTs for bosses have a phase 3, and we only see 2 phases in the game, except for the final boss. And yeah, more map secrets like Cord End. People don't even know what the item is. That's how secret it is. People don't even know it's real. People think it's fake. But it'd just be pretty cool to see secret items that can drastically change runs if you just happen to get them. Like, that'd be sick. Yeah. You're just hoping that they expand the world soon. And in the meantime, I'm yelling on my screen because that's literally all I do. Not for a living, actually, it's for fun. But yeah, till then, see you guys, and peace!